Hello, hello. Welcome to the moon meditation with me, Kathleen Berry, here in my little altar nook in my apartment in Virginia, right outside DC. Woohoo. It is Memorial Day weekend, and I opted to record this as opposed to having a live stream event because of how busy I've been feeling. I also wanted to poll people and understand how busy they've been feeling. And I wanted to kind of test out my new gear. So I'm hoping the quality sounds good, and I'm excited that you've chosen to join me in your free time at a time that works for you. So before we go any further, take a moment to get really intentional about where you are in your home or wherever you're staying. Find maybe some quiet, some peace. Close any doors, which reminds me, I'm going to close mine. You stay here and close yours, get comfy, get a blanket, pillows. I'll be right back. We're back. Pretty cool. We got to do that in real time together. So if you are new to the moon meditation, the basic format and layout is as such. I will do a high-level general energy reading around the astrological aspects we're currently in as a collective. And then I have done in advance a 3-card pull from my current favorite tarot deck, the Wildwood Tarot. And then we will go through a guided visualization to integrate the astrological energies, the card reading with what's happening in our inner world. It's pretty typical to either have visuals to fall asleep, to feel just a calm state of relaxation. If at any point you tune my voice out, that is not a problem. And if at any point you feel like you're working to get the visuals or you're working to follow along with me, I will invite you to just return to your breath and let this be more about letting the brain ease into and receive as opposed to needing to be productive and output. That is our normal state. We are constantly activated. We are constantly being asked to bring our attention to many different things at once. And really, if you don't find any other sense of peace throughout your day, I would hope this offers you a good 20 or so minutes of just going off the clock with the brain, allowing it to go into the subconscious area, which is over 95% of our brain matter is that subconscious. So accessing, harnessing, leveraging in a way that really requires little effort is what we're going for. So new moon in Gemini. So it is, again, for those of us in the US, Memorial Day weekend is the unofficial kickoff to summer. And something I've been thinking about, and for those who read the newsletter I sent out, and that I would like to do going forward too, is there's a little bit of grief maybe coming up for some of us around this weekend. If you're someone who typically has a family or friend vacation scheduled for this weekend, if you had plans to go travel somewhere international, a lot of people have had major life events change and canceled, whether it's your birthday, whether you had a wedding, whether you have any sort of family reunions, graduations. It's a seminal time of our Western Gregorian calendar in terms of culminations. And then thinking about how this is also a new moon, which is really around starting new things, right? So we have a lot of things that would be normally wrapping up and then beginning into summer. And then Gemini is bringing this air-like quality to all of that. The air-like quality meaning that sense of movement, that sense of cerebral connection. It's very, air qualities are very intelligent, rational, masculine, about how we move in the world, about how we choose to operate within a set of circumstances, if that makes sense. And so while there might be grief, I feel that Gemini, because it is this air-like quality, is asking us to not pause and stop everything we're doing, but perhaps to look at it through a different lens. Being the great communicator ruled by Mercury, Gemini energy, the twin-like energy, is dualistic in nature. There is that sort of split personality, which can get a negative rap, but really the duality, the yin and the yang, the polarities that we all have in our personalities, in our relationships, in our connections to the world around us. So with that, I wanted to not go too deep into the energy. That's kind of the energy level I want to hit. If you want more information or more tools of how to integrate that energy, please let me know. Email me, kbb323@gmail.com, if you haven't gotten the newsletter, or go back and take another read. I myself definitely, I go off of what I feel. I go off of the many astrologers and readers who I find to be super intuitive and who package information that feels really aligned to the way I like to receive it. So seek out that which kind of confirms what you already feel inside of you. That's kind of my practice with the astrological energy. Okay, so I did 3 cards. I'm going to read to you the energies of 3 cards. And what came up a lot for me, which is not surprising, but wanted to share, was a lot of questions. So the cards that I pulled had me really thinking about the questions we can look inward and ask ourselves. Because Mercury is such an air-like quality, Mercury, Gemini, the energy we're dealing with this moon, instead of focusing on the grief of where we can't connect with people and be one-on-one and be in that more like celebratory, intimate vacation environment that maybe this weekend represents for many people, I thought maybe it would be helpful to think of, well, then what can you do? What is joyful? Where can you feel connected, even if it's not in person, even if you can't touch, even if you can't be very close to one another physically? And so the first card I picked was 4 of Stones. 4 of Stones is protection. Stones are earth element. If you follow any traditional tarot, they relate to the pentacles. And this is a picture of this fawn, baby deer. Who doesn't love a baby deer? Finding shelter underneath these 3 pillar stones with one large one overhanging. And there are etchings in the stones, and you might be able to see, one day I'll get a better computer, but the sun is rising and the stars are still overhead. It's that really, pretty magical moment of dawn hitting. So what I thought, knowing that this card's called protection and reading what the card meaning holds, traditionally 4 of Pentacles has to do with boundaries. It has to do with feeling secure and stable in your material world. Material world does not need to mean literally your bank account. It could just mean like feel safe in my home on this planet. And I think for what's happening globally, a pandemic, a lot of us have been feeling unsafe in what is normally our global environment. So what I thought about then, knowing that this safety on a collective level has been compromised from this virus, this disease, it's how do we find safety within ourselves? And then here's where some of the questions just started to come up for me. So where are you still feeling unprotected or uneasy? Like really thinking about that. And if you want to journal throughout this or just kind of write down points, it's a really great practice. Can you take this new moon energy, this fresh start energy, to develop a sense of cover? So the way that stone was kind of covering the fawn. Can you use the new moon energy to find protection within yourself? This idea that if you can identify what you feel is missing, can you then call upon the reserves of strength you have in yourself to provide that safety? One thing I think of in particular is feeling a lack of trust in leadership right now and how that can make us feel really unsafe, like literally who's in charge? Who is becoming the arbiters of our fate? Who are we giving power to help us? And how, when you explore those questions, the answers can be scary and they can be uncertain and unsure. And so that's where we can come back into our own bodies and say, well, what am I in control of right now? The roof over my head, the food that goes in my body, the people with whom I have interactions, the daily tasks and chores and work that I do choose to engage in. And when you come back to that place of agency, of control, of choice, which is that, like, okay, I get to be my protector. I know what's best for me because I'm tuning in. I'm not relying on a news media outlet. I'm not relying on a family member. I'm not relying on external sources to validate that I am safe. Rather, I'm coming home inside of myself, really getting deep in my breath and noticing, where do I feel unsafe right now in this moment? What tools, practices, gifts do I have within my control that I can use to come back to safety? The breath being, for me, a huge one. Knowing that it's Gemini season, it might be, you know what, I'm going to start getting creative with my hands. I'm going to start a hobby that brings me joy, like 30 minutes a day dedicated to reading, 30 minutes a day dedicated to a stroll outside. Once we get to that place of, okay, now I have tools in place that really support me and make me feel covered, that make me feel like no one can come for me, no thing can come to my family, like I've got this. Once we start getting to that place of empowerment, then we can start asking, who around me could benefit from my protection? What do I consider my safe space? How am I building a nest that fosters and cultivates safety and protection? Where do I need more boundaries? Like, where am I allowing those who maybe don't feed into my protective energy, where they're taking and not giving back? Where can I now put up boundaries that actually keep me safe? And then this is a really good prompt. So when you come into that space of, like, what am I missing? Oftentimes, if you've done any inner child work, or if you've just thought about what scared you as a kid, and then you think about as an adult what scares you or what brings you fear, how they're often pretty closely related. Like, maybe it was a monster in the closet and now it's carried over to, like, I need a light on at all times at night. So if I get up to get a drink of water, I don't feel unsafe. Like that is like, I acknowledge that I'm feel unsafe in the dark, in the unknown. I purposefully, intentionally put landmarks and tools in place, like a nightlight, so that I can see and feel my way through it. And I use my breath to keep myself calm as I get up to get my drink of water and I go back to bed. Now, for me, that's a very personal one. As a kid, I was very scared of the dark and having nightmares. And so now I know, like, it's not just about full blown embracing darkness and getting over it and facing your fears. Sometimes it's, okay, what will make me feel protected? I think one thing that stood out to me in this card is that what you don't see is that the fawn sought out this protection, right? Like, what you don't see is the journey traveled to get under that cover and the fear and the uncertainty that might have accompanied it. But what you do see is that you will find that safety and that protection by trusting yourself and your inner compass, and by being really clear about where you feel unsafe and why, so that you can build tools and resources and support around you that allows you to feel that sense of safety net. So protection's the first. The second card I pulled was the Knight of Arrows, the Hawk. Woo! Hawks, right? Pretty badass. Hawks represent this bird's eye view, right? They are one of the few animals, and birds especially, who can survive and actually thrive at very high altitudes. They offer us a metaphorical and literal bird's eye view of the big picture. And I think with this card, calling upon the bird's eye view of ourselves, our inner world. Like, can you become the observer? There is a great book by Michael Singer called The Untethered Soul. It's all about becoming aware of our consciousness, becoming aware of our mind, that our mind is different than our brain. Our brain is an actual organ in our body that is electrical and dynamic and constantly aimed at keeping us alive, the body alive. But that the mind acknowledges that there's something bigger than just the firing of synapses, that there's something larger to us than our bodies and our brains. This is the acknowledgement of a higher self or a divine consciousness or God or whatever you resonate with, if that resonates. Hawks are also fearless. They're highly intelligent. They very much jive with that Gemini vibe. I mean, if you know a Gemini, you may or may not know that they love to dabble in a jillion different things, and they love to learn from others, and they love to become experts in things. What's cool is Geminis want to dabble and get their hands in so many different things. Where it sometimes gets them into trouble or into just sort of a scattered presence is when they get too spread out, maybe focusing their energy in 10 places where maybe it could be 5. So just something to think about if that resonates with you. They move swiftly in nights also. So knowing that they're a bird that moves very swiftly, very precisely. Night cards are about how we move in the world, and arrows are an air quality. So coming from stones, that earthy grounded quality with the protection card, then moving into, okay, but we're being asked to right now. And I think of like how everything's reopening. We're being asked to move so swiftly, and we're being asked to just resume as normal, or to get creative if we can't resume as normal, to resume, period. I know for me that's causing a lot of anxiety, and I'm not super jazzed about things opening up right now. I'm kind of like, can we wait a minute? Can we kind of see numbers like consistently going down before we just hop in? That being said, I think what this card's asking us to look at, because that's my personal, so that might not be resonating for you. You might feel very opposite. You might feel like, I'm ready to get back out there. I am ready to resume as normal. I would just invite you to look at, where is there movement in your life? Maybe it's around your job. For some of us, our jobs are picking back up. Maybe it's in a relationship. Maybe it's in a hobby, right? We just discussed like how certain hobbies can kind of set you up for safety. Maybe it's in a passion project. Maybe it's in developing a whole new career. Where can you bring more vigilance to your process? Hawks are also super protectors of their young, and they are predators, meaning not that you need to go out and attack per se, but having that sharp acuity of mind right now is of huge benefit because things are shifting so quickly energetically. Gemini is a fast moving sign, and we can see how the world is kind of spinning right now to like, okay, what do we do? How do we get back to normal? Because people are starting to lose their shit, right? What's shifting really quickly for you? And this actually came through in the card, so I thought it gelled really nicely with the Four of Stones. Where and who can you protect or speak on behalf of? Like, who's asking for? Knights represent this masculine energy of protection and movement. And so, like, is there anyone in your life, whether it's an individual or a group of people or a constituency or an idea, that is somewhere you feel really passionately drawn, like whether it's children or animals or something that really gets you like that protective maternal instinct fired up for you? What I feel the last 2 cards we've read is like, and this is the phrase that came out for me, that there's a privilege to being of service. And that if we can take that protection card and really hone in on where we feel unsafe so we can get right with that. Like, where are you still feeling that pang of anxiety? Can you use this new moon energy to get creative and to get real with yourself about like, okay, I still feel unsafe every day at the emails that come my way. I don't know how to deal with them. I don't know what to do. Maybe coming up with a process that allows you to say, okay, on Monday mornings, I take 30 minutes to go through my email. I flag the ones I know I need to respond to. I delete the ones that don't serve me, etc. So setting up that protection, because what I really feel strongly now is that if you are able to listen to this, if you take the time to meditate on your own, if you have resources available to you that support and nourish your journey, that you are being called to help others. That's not in a preachy, paternal type of way of like, you better help others. It's in a way of like, you are in a place of privilege. And that's a gift that you get to share with others, and that others want what you have. Others want your protection and your support. And if you can just get super clear about where you still have hangups, it will open you up to be so much more generous and spacious with the gifts you have, because it's not about solving your fears. You don't need to be perfect to start helping people. One of the best platitudes I've adopted lately is start before you're ready. You are ready now. And by opening up and creating a cover for ourselves so that then we can invite others under our protective umbrella, we can then embody that hawk-like mentality of being able to see things very clearly, moving very swiftly, and moving with precision, with grace, and with a really high-minded, deep down nurturing aspect to it. Does that make sense? Kind of chew on that for a second. The last thing I'll end with Knight of Arrows is this. You are safe, you are strong, and you are ready to bring that same safety, strength, and readiness to others, whether it's a cause, an effort, a project, a person, a group. Final card, the Archer. Archer is number 7 in the major arcana of the Wildwood deck. It correlates with the Chariot in the Smith Rider-Waite deck. And if you've been participating in our moon meditations, this actually was one of the cards from the 4/4 portal, full moon, super moon in Taurus, Aries, full super moon in Aries, I believe. Full super moon in Libra. Oh my God, good times. So you can always go back to that recording. I believe I have it on YouTube if you kind of want to redig into what the reading notes were for that. But what I really felt right now is patience with the process. The idea that the Archer has a whole process to not only stringing her bow and then getting ready for the hunt, and then scouting out the areas and marking territory, and all the things that go into the process are just of equal, if not more importance than the actual drawing of the bow and aiming towards the target. That all the little details matter, and that it's not about clinging to them and making them perfect. Rather, it's about getting really clear on where you can put more effort and what's actually like in the bag. Like, I got this. I'm really good at scouting out things. I'm really good at researching. I'm really good at synthesizing information. Now I can see that my effort is actually dedicated towards communicating better with others, or to executing the project on time. I like to procrastinate. Hi, hello, I procrastinated this. What's showing up during this new moon in relation to what happened around April 4th? That was the last time we pulled this card. Where are you being called to take aim? Where in your life are things really starting to culminate? Like, okay, a month and a half ago, I was really heads down in this project and I had to take a pause on it. But I'm feeling this urge inside of me, or I'm feeling called to continue to build upon that project. That's an example of how you can use this energy. What is your process? Do you need to refine any pieces of it? Has your aim or focus changed? And where can you leverage strength, patience, and wisdom? Knowing that wisdom isn't something you just poof, wake up with, right? Wisdom is the learned behaviors we gather after practicing something and failing at it repeatedly and learning from it, and then refining, revising, revisiting. So, with that, get yourself comfortable, get yourself situated, get yourself to a place of laying down or sitting. Find heaviness under your hips first. Take a deep breath in your nose. Open the mouth, let it go. Inhale through your nose. Open the mouth, exhale. Take one more breath in. Empty. If they haven't yet, let the eyes flutter closed. Maybe you even find a blanket, a towel, a sweatshirt, a pillow to put over your eyes. Find more heaviness under your hips. If you are laying down, let the shoulders maybe just sort of wiggle together so that the heads of the shoulders can just roll away from the body, melt in to the surface beneath you. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Stay with this rhythm. Take 2 more breaths. One more. Begin to bring the gaze of your eyes while keeping the lids closed up towards your third eye. This is the seat of your intuition. It is not important that you feel your third eye in terms from a physical sense, a tactile sense, right? What you aim to do here is bring your gaze up so that you can bring your gaze in. Keep breathing. When we bring our gaze up, we acknowledge our higher consciousness, that divine soul, spirit that lives within us. We look up to go in. Take a quick moment to just do a body scan and take any adjustments or movements you need to get fully at ease. You might swallow once or twice. Let the tongue come down from the roof of your mouth. Breathe in. Breathe out. In your mind's eye, using the power of your imagination, begin to envision a forest around you, full of trees, full of leaves, the sounds that you hear, birds maybe chirping, the footsteps of animals walking, grazing around you. Maybe even in the distance you hear water trickling. Begin to breathe in the warmth and strength of protection into your body. In your mind's eye, say, I am strong. I am protected. I am available to be strong and protective of others. Begin to take steps in the forest. Notice what color the leaves are around you. Notice what time of day it is. For me, I'm walking through a lush green, about to be summer forest. There's still that little cool breeze in the air, but the sun is shining down through the leaves, casting these beautiful shadows and these beautiful light play on the bright, bright colors of the forest. I hear the soft crunch of leaves underneath my feet, and I begin to walk towards an open dirt path. I am strong. I am protected. I am available to be of strength and protection to others. That same fawn that you saw in the Four of Stones card begins to cross your path. It's so innocent and small and fuzzy, and it gives you a look and it feels safe around you. You can tell because it doesn't want to run. It looks straight at you, almost through you. And then it begins to walk down that dirt path, guiding you towards a place you've not yet known. Begin to walk, following the fawn, one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. This sense of warmth and security and knowing is so deeply rooted in who you are. You feel it from the bottom of your belly wash over every part of your body. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. You begin to hear the sound of water trickling even more loudly than it did before. And you notice the fawn is leading you to a stream. As it approaches the stream, it lays down and dips its head to get a drink. And you sit next to it because it lets you. And you think, looking up to your mind's eye, where do I still feel unprotected? Let it be a word or a feeling, maybe a person's face, maybe a general idea that just causes a bit of uncertainty for you. See it, bring it to the light. Breathe in, breathe out. This fawn represents an aspect of your higher self, and you are welcome at this time to ask the fawn, where am I being called to bring more protection to myself so that I might be of service to others? Breathing in and breathing out. Receive the medicine and receive the answer. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. You begin to hear the sound of a loud bird overhead, the unmistakable sound of a hawk screeching. And you look up, and the fawn looks up, and you see a beautiful, majestic hawk circling overhead. Right beneath the canopy of the trees, it glides, it sees you. And while normally you might feel this instinct to run, something in your inner knowing tells you this is safe. You are protected. The fawn also feels safe and isn't running. This indicator of like my highest self knows I'm okay, knows that I am covered. Slowly, in these swooping movements from left to right, the hawk begins to come down to earth and lands near you and the fawn. Its eyes are so sharp. Its head moves and darts side to side, sort of assessing you, checking in. You breathe in and you breathe out, and you begin to connect on an energetic level with the energy of the hawk, thinking through, where am I being asked to be sharp in my senses, confident in my skills, and in support and service to others? Not this clinging call of, I better do something good or I'm not good. Rather, this soul depth experience of where you feel passionately drawn just by virtue of what brings you energy. Think of an area in your life where your energy flows in service with very little effort. Maybe it's to your children. Maybe it's to an elderly family member. Maybe it's to a community of people, to your colleagues. And just check in with how it feels, and feel it in your body, how it feels to be of service to others with little effort. Being of service does not mean you have to write $1,000 checks to charities. Being of service could be baking cookies for your neighbors. Being of service could be choosing to smile at the disgruntled drive-through worker because you know that their disgruntledness has nothing to do with you. They just feel unsafe. And so with the protection of the fawn and the wisdom of the hawk, you begin to get really clear with where your support is needed. Because right now, the world needs more people like you to help out in little ways. The smallest things make the biggest difference. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. You thank the fawn, you thank the hawk for their support, for their protection, for their wisdom. The hawk begins to flap its wings and fly away, leaving you with one of its beautiful large feathers. A gift, a token, a talisman for you to carry with you as you finish your journey in the woods. You pick up the feather and you notice the colors, how it feels. You honor it, you bless it, you thank it for being the symbol of wisdom and strength, of dedication to a process bigger than you. And you begin to walk away from the water, back onto the path, back into the woods for your final leg of this journey. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. One step at a time, you look down at the floor of the forest, steady in your progress, patient with the process. You don't know what the end destination is, but you know that you have the opportunity right now to observe how you are within getting to that destination. You walk towards what looks to be a house. Maybe you've seen this house before in the woods. Maybe you see smoke coming out of the chimney. And in front of the house, a few yards away, you see a bow with a quiver of arrows, and you see a target. And you remember, yes, I've been here before. You have an opportunity now with the strength of the hawk, the precision, the clarity, the accuracy, the swiftness, the vulnerability, the kindness, and the gentle nature of the fawn. They both serve to protect you so that you can be of service to others, so that you can find perhaps what is a piece of your soul calling here on earth. Breathe in and breathe out. You pick up the bow. It's already strung for you. It's perfect tension. Give it a little pull back with your dominant hand. And there's 3 arrows in the quiver. And you now have an opportunity to set an intention for each, to be with the process of picking up the bow, knocking the arrow, drawing back, elbow behind you. Your front arm is so straight and strong, and your gaze comes forward over the tip of the arrow to the bullseye of the target. Right here, what word comes up for you? Think of it, see it, say it, own it, breathe in. Release the arrow, breathe out. Close your eyes, breathe in. Feel the release, breathe out. Inhale to knock your second arrow. Be with the process, visualize it. Go slow. What are your feet's stance look like? Where are your hips facing? Your shoulders, your arms. You begin to knock the arrow in the string and you pull back with your peace fingers and you find that moment of tension, and then you breathe in for clarity. Look right at the bullseye. Breathe out to loose the arrow. Take a moment to notice how that felt. Where would you refine your process? Who would you call in to help you? Is it okay if it's not perfect? Notice where your arrows have landed on the bullseye. It's okay if they're not right in the middle, or maybe they are. You have one more. Inhale. Exhale. This last one, you go slower than you have with the last 2. You come to a place of clarity. I know that I am safe. I know that I am strong, and I know where my strength and protection is needed now. And I set an intention as I pull and find tension for this last arrow to hit the bullseye, to be with the process, and to help this effort, this project, this group. Take a breath in. Slowly, you begin to set the bow down. Begin to walk towards the door of the house. What color is the door? What does the doorknob even look like? You begin to open and press it open, and inside is the most delicious smell of something cooking. And there you see part of the group or the effort or the tribe that you know you want to help, that you are part of protecting. They welcome you with smiles and warmth, and you hug, you embrace. There's a hearth fire going. The meal's about to be shared. Feel in your body, feel in your third eye how safe you are, how protected you are, how from this place of privilege and protection, you get to bring that same feeling of ease, love, and safety to others. And how that's this beautiful cycle and spiral of rewarding energy. You expect nothing in return because you know that part of your purpose on earth is to help and support others. Deep breaths as you enjoy this moment. Deep breaths for any grief or melancholy that might show up. Honor it. It is natural. It is part of the process. Just like picking up the bow, knocking the arrow, drawing. None of them last forever. They are all pieces, and the sum is greater than its parts. The melancholy can only stick if you fear it and you think it's real. It feels real. Honor it and allow it to pass. You look into the faces of the loved ones with whom you've gathered, and you begin to join hands and close your eyes together and take a final moment of intentionality. Final moment to find really deep protection and safety in your own body, in your own mind and thoughts. Remind yourself that the fear and uncertainty that shows up in the brain is to protect your body, and that you get to be in control of that through your breath and through your guided visualization, through your acknowledgement of what shows up. You squeeze the hands of those you love, and you take one big breath in, and you sigh it out. Let your breath return to normal. Begin to find a little bit of awareness in your body and its space around you. Feel the temperature of the air on your skin. Feel your breath begin to deepen and lengthen. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. Begin to wake your body up nice and slow. Take little movements of the feet, the hands. Bend the knees, bend the elbows, circle the wrists, circle the ankles. Big breath in, full body stretch. Big breath out, roll to one side. Begin to press up into a seat. Allow the eyes to be soft for a moment here. Allow yourself the grace and the space to come back to the present moment. Feel what you feel in your body, honor it, acknowledge it. Breathe in. Breathe out. If you have a journal nearby, you might take a moment right here to just write down some of the imagery that came through for you, whether it's the color of the door of the house, whether it's the message from the fawn or the colors of the hawk feather, what your forest looked like, what it felt like, where you felt safe, protected, what it felt like to observe your process of drawing the bow and arrow. Did it differ from the first time to the second time to the third? What words showed up for you? What community, what effort has shown up for you as needing or wanting your support? Just take a few moments. And while you do that, I will shuffle to leave us with the final energy of the reading. One last card from the Wildwood deck. What I typically like to do is give us a final sort of piece of guidance or medicine to integrate all the pieces that we've been working with. Protection, the Knight of Arrows, the hawk, and then the archer, that precision, that focus, that protection that we are being asked to look at within our own selves so we can bring it to others. One almost wanted to fall out. I saved it. To wrap up your journal writing, if you're going, you can always come back to it. And the card we have is the Seven of Bows, clearance. You can see there's bows leaning up against a big tree. There's a hearth fire in the background. A little axe showing that some of the bows are uncarved. Interesting point is that the Archer is a card that is 7. So another 7. My teacher for tarot, Lindsay Mack, often describes 7s as an archetype being an external occurrence showing up that actually is reflecting back to us an internal journey that we need to reflect on, or the idea that it feels like it's something happening out around us. I can give the example of like things reopening, phase 1 starting for COVID. But what's really maybe happening inside of me that's making me feel anxious about that, right? It's that's mirroring back to me where I'm feeling unsafe within my own self. So let's look up 7 of Bows before we close down. 7 of Bows, clearance. A worn, broken, and splintered bow rests on the ground. 6 half-prepared bow staves stand to one side. A bonfire burns off timber waste. The smoke curls through the trees and up toward the sky, but the flames are bright and small showers of sparks light the evening sky. The meaning. A time to make decisions and choose priorities. Focus on what you really need in your life and what it is time to dispose of and cut away, especially if it is worn out and broken or no longer meets your needs on the journey of life. Reading points. All things must change and evolve, and however well prepared or carefully constructed your tools and skills, new challenges and obstacles may require rethinking and relearning. Bows wear out and eventually fracture under constant use, stress, and tension. Arrows warp through damp and strenuous flexing and lose their strength and accuracy. Change is a natural part of the process of renewal, and although it can be painful, pain brings change, and change brings pain. It must be seen as a positive turn of the wheel and necessary for new life to begin. Welcome the clearing of the old and preparing for the ground for the new growth is vital. New shoots and spring saplings will be starved of light and nutrients if the soil in the ground is not cleared. Old boughs and stumps should be removed to ease the process of saying goodbye to a tool or concept that has outlived its practical life. By allowing the passing of the old and the clearing of the ground to take place with an element of welcoming and acceptance of change, the feelings of relief and poignancy may aid the healing process, giving comfort. What's really coming through for me, especially knowing that it's new moon energy, this clearance is, and maybe what you can do is think through what came through in the visualization for you, that we're being asked to really start fresh on, if we are to be of service of others, what is still hanging on in our inner worlds, in our lives, that's causing us to not have space to be of service. Like what daily tasks, duties, conversations, responsibilities are not even really contributing to the greater good, right? I often want to give a personal example. I read something recently that basically said, like, for my type of personality, getting up and moving is best thing I can do in the morning. In the morning, I often get really bogged down by thoughts, whether I've had vivid dreams or I think of all of the things I need to get done that day. I can get very quickly zapped of my energy and creativity by losing focus of the present moment, which is that it's a new day. I get to wake up, I get to take it on, and I get to review my process throughout the day of how I handle things. When you try to think of everything you need to get done at once, it is like a total mind F, right? It's just like, how the hell, there's not enough hours in the day, I can't. But when you allow yourself to think of that bow and arrow aiming for the target process, what you allow yourself to do is see where you can refine and clear. Like, is it really helpful to spend 20 minutes in my bed in the morning on Instagram? You know, is it? Is it serving? Does it make me feel more drawn that I need to be on social media? Does it make me feel like I'm addicted to something? Does it make me feel like I'm wasting my time? And if those answers are yeah, then where can I redirect, right? Can I go on a morning walk? Can I go get a coffee started? Can I go step outside and just breathe? Can I meditate? Clearing out that which doesn't serve us makes fertile, strong, grounded energy to support those who do actually need us. You do not have to feed every hungry child in the world. You could simply show up for the next meal with your family and be really present with them. That is one way to refine your process. You do not need to clean the entire world's supply of water. And in fact, let's be clear, you can't do it on your own. You can't save the world on your own. But what you can do is start inward. How can I protect myself in a way that feels aligned and nourishing, which then gives permission to those around me to do the same, which then creates this clearing of space of like common ground and understanding that, hey, we're all in this. We all have our fears. We all have our anxieties. We all have our places within our daily process where we could refine and where we could make more room. And I feel that this Gemini energy is asking you to get creative. Think outside of the box, circle, diamond. Give yourself space to create something, to use your hands. I know for me, I've been really engaging in a mudra practice more than ever, whether it's during my meditations, whether it's during my yoga, asana. Where can you communicate more clearly what your needs are, what your boundaries are? Where can you bring humor and lightness to the process? Especially if you're someone who's already highly self-critical. You don't need to say, oh, I sucked at stringing that bow. I didn't even know what I was doing. I don't even know if I was doing it right. You did it. You visualized it, and that's all that matters. If something felt off or uncomfortable or janky, we're fine. Okay, it felt weird when I pulled my elbow back. This is just the example of the visualization, but you can say like, it felt weird when I received that text from a friend. It felt out of the blue. It felt like an attack. It felt like I don't have time to respond to it and I want to, but how can I create boundaries that allow me to like be more honest with my time and this person, right? These are all just little daily examples I'm giving, but it could be in another topic, another area. Allow it to kind of show up for you the way it does. I'm wishing you the happiest, healthiest, most nourishing of the rest of your weekend. If you have any questions or if you want to comment or share, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I believe I'm going to post this on YouTube. You can put it in the comments there. And just let me know what questions you have. We'll resume our live stream for the next full moon. Whoa. I believe it'll be a full moon in Sagittarius. So that'll be exciting. I wish you guys health. I wish you to be well. Be kind to yourselves. Imagine when it gets really hard, your favorite person in the world. You're allowed to have one. I won't tell. And how you would treat them if they were going under the stress you were going under. And then treat yourself that way. Namaste, y'all. Thanks for joining. Take care.